Hi, welcome to Off the Shelf with Christine and Katie, where we share with you our recommendations for books to help you find your next read or to build up your TBR, that ever popular to be read list for the future.
Yes.
It is Women's History Month, and the Women's History Alliance theme this year is celebrating women who tell our stories. So what could be better than books, historical fiction books about women written by women. So we hope you enjoy these titles and maybe even find a new favorite or two.
And so as always, so settle in, grab a cup of your favorite beverage, and enjoy these recommendations. And as always, let us know in the comments what you think of these picks and if you have any titles to add. And as always, if you want to follow us for more content, please click the subscribe button below.
But for now, why don't we get to some of those books?
Yes.
You want to get us started?
Of course. So our first recommendation is The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. And it's another great historical fiction by Maggie O'Farrell. And her last novel, if you remember from one of our previous videos, was Hamnet, about Shakespeare, his wife, their son, and it won the 2021 Booker Prize. And in this year, she brings readers to a fascinating journey back to Florence in the 1550s to tell the story of young Duchess Lucrezia de Medici and her very short life and death. I know her book's been really popular, so I'm sure our patrons
I loved
are going to love
Hamnet.
it. Yes, I know you did.
I can't wait to read this one too.
Definitely check that out.
Next up, we have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, which is one that I just can't wait to read myself.
And it's been so popular, we can't keep it on the shelf.
And it's about Elizabeth Zott, as she's a brilliant chemist who has no choice but to become a television chef when she finds herself a young single mother in the 1960s. Elizabeth's approach to cooking, take 1 pint of H2O and a pinch of sodium chloride.
For those who know, you know.
And her independent example, they are proving a little bit revolutionary. Because Elizabeth isn't just teaching women how to cook, she's teaching them how to change the status quo. It's full of humor, and it's a debut novel that explores women's lives, careers, and the struggle for empowerment in the late 50s and early 60s. Not an era we see too much in historical
No, not really.
fiction.
And the next one I want to recommend is Hester by Lori Legal Albanese, and is a reimagining of the woman who inspired Hester Prynne from the Scarlet Letter. And it is about, in the early 1800s, Isabel Gamble sailed for America from Scotland with her husband Edward. He is an apothecary with an opium addiction, who doesn't have one those days, whose deaths have caused his relocation. But only days after they've arrived in Salem, he abruptly leaves on a departing ship as a medic. Nice. Left alone, Isobel meets Nathaniel Hawthorne, and the two are drawn to each other. And thus begins the story, later to be penned, as what we all know, as the Scarlet Letter.
I'm interested in reading that one too.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I like it.
Yeah. Next up, we have Take My Hand by Dolen Perkins Valdez. This is inspired by true events. It's a moving novel about a black nurse in post-segregation Alabama who blows the whistle on a wrong done to her patients. It's a dual timeline story. It tells the story of Sybil Townsend, who hopes to make a difference in her community by working as a nurse at the Montgomery Family Planning Clinic in the 1970s, Alabama, and serving those desperately in need of the care. However, she is shocked when she discovers the medical care her young female patients are given as a condition of their welfare. Years later, Dr. Townsend is ready to retire, but these stories from her past refuse to stay hidden, and
therefore
she lets them be known.
Yep. Alright, and the next one we want to recommend is Peach Blossom Spring by Melissa Fu. And this is also a debut novel, and is about 3 generations of a Chinese family. It spans from 1938 in China as the Japanese army approaches and a young mother must make a difficult decision, to present day when a daughter wishes to learn about her heritage from her father, but refuses to talk. It's a power story of family, war, and history. So if you are one of those people who love generational family stories, this is for you.
I think we have a few of them this list, which is great.
I think so.
Yeah.
My mom loves this kind of books.
Next up, we have The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. It's based on a true story. This novel tells the story of Mila Pavlichenko.
We'll pop her name right here.
Pavlichenko, a Russian bookworm who ultimately becomes the world's deadliest female sniper, nicknamed Lady Death.
Oh, you know that's a cool name.
Yes. And when they say, watch out for those quiet bookworms, there you have it.
That's what they mean. And you know she has it tattooed somewhere cool, like as like a little hidden, like underneath her jacket kind of a vibe. Okay, and the next one is from an author I'm sure you've all have heard before from this channel, but is Violetta by Isabel Allende. And Told in Letters from Violetta to her grandson Camilo. This book chronicles the extraordinary life of the 100-year-old Chilean woman who was born in 1920, survived 2 pandemics, sounds familiar, 2 world wars, not quite as familiar, as well as the rest of events that occurred in the 20th century. This epic saga will transport the reader across a century of family drama and intense historical and political events. Well, there's the other family saga book we were talking about.
But wait, we have another one.
There's more. but wait, there's more.
So we have The Good Left Undone by Adriana Ciganani. And this is based on the true story of the Capelli family. This saga spends 100 years while chronicling 4 generations of strong, fierce Italian women and their loves, losses, secrets, and heartaches. The story depicts the fallout from the sinking of the Arandora Star by a German U-boat and all that follows as a result of this. It is an expose on the value of the unsung heroes in a multi-generational working-class family, and it reminds us that our own stories are important. This is not a famous family, but it is a true family, so...
Yes, and what's cool is it's written by a New Jersey author that we are familiar with here at the library, so definitely one to check out. Okay, and the next one is, once again, an author I'm sure if you've heard before on this channel, if you've been watching for a long time. But the newest book that she's written this year is called Her Hidden Genius by Mary Benedict. And as in her previous novel, Benedict gives us a book highlighting a woman whose history remains largely unknown, Rosalind Franklin. And she was a scientist who played a critical role in deciphering the double helix structure of human DNA. Yet she was not awarded the Nobel Prize for this research. It was instead awarded to 3 men, who I guess were just around. Benedict once again brings to life a woman whose incredible discoveries were hidden by the men around her. Very sad.
Yeah, but typical for women scientists in the time.
Yeah.
Next up, we have The Magnolia Palace by Fiona Davis. Taking place at the Gilded Age home of industrialist Henry Frick, this dual timeline novel goes between 1919, when the Fricks lived there, and 1966, when the home became the Frick Collection, a museum that's still in operation today. In the later timeline, a message is stumbled across that reopens a murder case that occurred in the Frick house years earlier.
Oh, interesting.
And they go to try to solve it.
I know it's historical fiction, but this sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and next is our YA portion of this video, but we'd like to start the first one out of a recommendation by our teen librarian Marissa, and it is The Davenports by Crystal Marquis. And the Davenports are one of the few black families of immense wealth and status in 1910 Chicago. William Davenport, a formerly enslaved man, made his fortune by founding the Davenport Carriage Company. This is the tale of his daughters, 4 determined and passionate young black women, discovering the courage to steer their own path in life. And it is inspired by the real-life story of C.R. Patterson and his family, and it sounds really cool.
And now next up we have a little bit of a different type of historical fiction. It's called The Second Death of Eddie and Violet Bond by Amanda Glaze. 17-year-old twins Eddie and Violet race against time to uncover their mother's killer, adding a supernatural twist in this debut novel because it is inspired by the lives of real teenage twin mediums in the 19th century.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
So you got a little mystery, got a little bit of supernatural, and a little bit of history.
A little bit of everything.
Yes. Now, you may be aware that we were huge fans of Sarah Penner's debut novel, The Lost Apothecary. And she has a new book coming out this month that looks promising. Let's see if that popularity holds.
I really hope so. But we're really looking forward to this book, but it is called... to this book, but it is called The London Seance Society by, of course, Sarah Penner. And in 1873 Paris, celebrated medium Vaudeline Dallaire has fled London under mysterious circumstances along with her skeptical apprentice Lena. Under the pretense of hosting a seance to ascertain the identity of the president of the London Seance Society's killer, dun dun dun, they are offered a chance to return to London with an invitation into the Seance Society's all-male club. Yet more secrets get unfolded as this. Yet more secrets get uncovered as this adventure unfolds. And I know we are really looking forward to it.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, and for those who didn't get enough of these historical fiction picks about women written by women, well, you are in luck. Check out some of these anticipated releases that are due out later this year. And in this upcoming category, I call them historical fiction novels set in libraries. We have The Little Wartime Library by Kate Thompson, The Librarian of Burned Out Books by Brianna Labuskis, and The Heir to the Blackwood Library by Hester Fox. And here are the other historical fiction novels coming out in February/March.
Remember, if you can't find these titles in our library, simply just fill out a request and we will do our best to get it for you. And that goes with any of these titles here.
Yes, of course. And if there's any that we haven't mentioned, but you want to see in the library, we don't currently have it, you can fill out your request online or come to the library and submit a form at the reference desk.
That's all we have, but there are so many more great books out there. We hope you enjoyed these picks, and we'll see you next time for some cozy fantasies. Take care.
Bye!